Welcome back to Equal Entertainment. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. Daisy Jones and the Six appears to be on everyone's watch list right now, and with the 1970s Los Angeles music industry serving as its backdrop, it's no secret why TV and music fans are raving about the series. I spoke with series EPs Scott Neustadter and Brad Mendelson, along with the book author Taylor Jenkins Reid, about the themes of nostalgia, powerful women leads, and more. Great. Hi, I'm Tracy Gilchrist. I'm with The Advocate. Thanks for chatting with me.
Hi,
Oh yeah,
Tracy.
thank
Hi,
you.
Tracy.
Of course, of course. Well, I'd love to begin just asking a little bit about the role of nostalgia in the series. And I wonder if you would comment on that first, please, Brad.
Nostalgia plays a huge part, I think, in this series. In particular, the book Taylor wrote has a feeling that we all want to be a part of in the 1970s, and if we weren't alive or around the Laurel Canyon, music scene, you
Yeah.
wanted to be. And it resonates from teenagers to people that are much older in their 70s and up, who did get to experience it. And we wanted to make a piece ultimately that had that nostalgic feel, but was nothing that had ever been done before either.
And
Yeah.
what's cool is that the novel is sort of written from the perspective of people looking back on their youth, looking back on a
Yeah.
moment in their own lives, and so everyone else in the story is nostalgic for stuff that happened.
Right.
So there's like a
Right.
little bit of a critique on the dangers of nostalgia,
Yes.
while you're also inviting everyone to be nostalgic
Yeah.
about the time.
Yeah.
And what's really fun about the 70s is like we talk about nostalgia and we talk about escapism and leaving this world and just the delightfulness of living in Southern California at that time. But the 1970s are also in a ridiculously political and crazy
Yeah.
time that it's sad to think how long ago it was and how far we have not come in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, incredibly so. Well, Taylor, well, first off, I have to admit, I haven't read this novel, but I actually just picked up Evelyn Hugo and I'm
Oh,
loving
thank
it.
you.
So
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
but I'll have to go back and read this one. But what I wanted to touch on was the role of gender and especially women in Daisy Jones and the Six, because Daisy and Karen and Camilla also are incredibly self-possessed. And I think that it is interesting though, because at some point Camilla kind of falls into a role of domesticity for a while. And I think it's just really interesting to show the breadth of what women can do. And would you comment on that, please?
Yeah. Well, it was very important to me to portray a number of different women in this story and to not lift one type of way of making your way in the world over another. And so you have someone like Daisy who is a little bit more uncompromising. You have someone like Karen who feels like she's looking at the way this game is played and she's going to start to make some decisions about what she's going to have to sacrifice in order to get where she wants. And then it was very interesting to me to create a woman like Camila and Simone too, who they have an incredible self-possession, but I think what's very exciting to me about Camila is that you know, making the decision that as a woman what you want to do for a period of time in your life is raise your children first and foremost is a very powerful decision, and one that I have friends who have made that decision, and I see the way that society treats them or perhaps belittles that decision or thinks that there's something unfeminist about that decision. And my goal is always to say that you know, I want to write stories that help women be their true selves, whatever that is and whatever form that takes.
Yep. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for that. And also, I think that the series does a really good job of depicting addiction in a couple of different on a couple of different journeys. And I'm impressed by Billy's journey early on. I'm not sure where it's going, haven't seen everything yet, but I'm really impressed by his kind of sobriety journey and the role of addiction. And Brad, I wonder if you would talk a little bit to that.
Um, yeah, it was a big part of his backstory for sure, and his upbringing, and the fact that he was abandoned, if you will, by his father, and there's a lot going on with Billy, and that addiction was a storyline that we had to follow, and he had to hit rock bottom in order for him to hopefully build back up and become the best rock star that we could make him. And then you'll see what happens after that.
Right, incredible. I also had the chance to speak with series star Nabiyah Be about her character Simone and the queer storyline she explores, the themes of class, race, chosen family, and more.
Yeah, I first heard about it around um, March 2019, had my first audition in April 2019. And when I got the part, I understood that she was going to be expanded upon from book to screen, and she's probably the character that is the most expanded upon. There was this huge gray area in the book, middle part of her life that we just don't know, that wasn't explored. So I understood that a lot of that was going to come from me and my experience and just telling the story in my body. And the first piece of information I got from Will Graham, which is one of our
Yeah, I
executive.
know Will. I love Will.
I love him too. And our director for episode 7 was that Simone was going to be queer. And I thought that that was such a layer for profundity and just how impactful disco music was to the queer community. Yeah, when we first meet Simone in the first episodes, the way I played her and I understood her was someone who maybe bypassed some of the empowerment and social political discussion, not because she lessened them, but from a place of like, in order to get to this mainstream spot, I can't be the Nina Simone or else I won't get it.
Right.
And I think what's beautiful in the arc, without giving any spoilers, is that we get to see something that was probably even poignant to the music industry as well, which was people understanding that they don't have to sacrifice their truth, their work, their authenticity, their beliefs, their dignity, and they can actually create spaces. Later on, nowadays we have indie music labels, right? And we have so many artists going independent, in which you can find an audience that resonates with you without succumbing a lot of who you are. Oh, Simone is definitely a big mesh of wonderful, beautiful women. I call them, there was the big three: Donna Summer, Diana Ross, Shaka Khan, but then lesser known artists. We had Claudia Leaner, Linda Clifford, Mary Clayton, who recorded the vocals for Gimme Shelter in Rolling Stone's Gimme Shelter.
Yes.
And there were a few queer women who were out, but I actually remember at some point listening to Brazilian music and just what that universe looked like in Brazil, because I am Brazilian. And I discovered this, I didn't discover, but I just thought she was a bit of an inspiration. Her name is Sandra de Sá. I'm standing here, a so-called emancipated, empowered Black woman who gets to have access to tools that help me feel safe. I get to talk about queerness without feeling attacked. And it's all because women like Simone experienced silence and experience having their voices being stolen. And we get to kind of retell the story. It's not easy being the first. A lot of your story gets to be told in chunks, and it's usually told by the winners. So I'm really proud to tell the story of a pioneer, and I like to call her a pioneer of joy, because that's what those clubs were. They were spaces for joy.
Thanks to the creators and Nabiyah for speaking with me. Episodes of Daisy Jones and the Six are streaming now on Prime Video. You can visit the Advocate channel on YouTube for more equal entertainment interviews. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. I'll see you next time.